All right, everybody, strap in. It's time to engage the millennial nostalgia marketing machine. The new lineup for the 2024 edition of When We Were Young just dropped. It is Saturday, October 19th, 2024. Almost a year from now, but already, if you give millennials the chance to relive their glory years, all you need to do is just say, hey guys, remember high school? And the millennials will come running to your door with their wallets out, waving their money, like, take my money, please. Like Fry on Futurama, waving their wallets and their money in the air, say, you had me at high school. You had me at Remember High School. This is it. We'll talk about the lineup. We'll talk about some questions that people may have. First thought I have is, I don't mean to be rude, but I feel like this is one of the worst flyers that I have ever seen for a festival because I literally can't read it. I mean, obviously you can see you got your Discman here. If you're a 32-year-old and your children will leave you alone for a minute, you'll recognize a lot of the things in this photo. Basically, I think the concept for this flyer was member berries. Remember when My Chemical Romance came out? Because that's where we're at right now as far as Nemo nostalgia goes. But like the names of all the artists around the edge, like I literally can't read it. This is the other part of it, which is designed obviously to look like a CD case, because guys, remember CDs? Guys, remember CDs? OMG. I love CDs so much. OMG. I remember CDs. I remember my Discman. I remember MySpace. OMG, take my money. When we were young, I remember. Like, I literally can't read because the text is too small, and the font they chose is like the crass, like crust punk font, which is hard enough to read when it's big. Absolutely impossible to read when it's this small. The concept for it this year is that all the bands, other than Fall Out Boy, I think, all the bands are playing an album in their entirety. Computer enhance. Here it is. I've zoomed in 200% and it's still kind of small. Look, I get it. I get the concept. I get like OMG, remember CDs, but like it's important for a flyer to like actually be able to read it. So I thought we could talk about some of the reactions to it. This one here, I gotta kind of agree with Richard Land here on Twitter. Fire your graphic designer. I don't want anyone to lose their job. I'm not going to go that far, but not a great flyer. So the idea is that all these bands are going to play a full album. And so we've got My Chemical Romance doing The Black Parade, A Day to Remember doing Homesick, Dashboard Confessional, Simple Plan, Coheed, Under Oath, Distillers, Mayday Parade, Chiodos, Movement, Baysides, The Main, Saves the Day, Wonder Years, Starting Line, August Burns Red, Thursday, State Champs, Atreyu, Hawthorne Heights, Cartel, Seosin, We the Kings, Pretty Girls Make Graves, Red Jumpsuit, Apparatus, Alisana, LS Dunes, Fall Out Boy, Jimmy World, Pierce the Veil, The Used, All American Rejects, Newfound Glory, Dance Gavin Dance, Motion City Soundtrack, Silverstein Basement, Sleeping with Sirens, Neck Deep, Cobra Starship, Story of the Year, Say Anything for Your Strong Bomb, Jesus Senses Failed, 303, Amber Balloon, Armor for Sleep, The Devil Wears Prada, Escape the Fate, Not a Surf Emery, and The Forecast. The first question that I have is kind of what a lot of people are asking is I'll be shocked if this actually happens. And like I said, I got to talk about something that I think is a little bit weird. Every time that someone announces a new festival, I feel like the default reaction is always like, oh, there's no way this festival is going to happen. This is a scam. It's Fyre Fest 2.0. It's a weird thing now where every time a new festival is announced, it's almost like people are hoping that it's going to be a disaster. You know what I mean? Which I think is a really weird impulse. Fyre Festival obviously was a complete shit show, and like there's every good reason to, mock it. But Fyre Fest was like one thing. It was one festival that happened, whatever that was, like 5-6 years ago, something like that. Other than that, like every other festival goes off without a hitch, really. I mean, the only thing, last year with When We Were Young, the first day got canceled because of weather, but nobody could have done anything about that. But it's just kind of an odd impulse to me that people sort of always want something to be a dumpster fire. That's true. Well, Blue Ridge Rock Festival, that was kind of a dumpster fire. That's true. That's true. Fair enough. Fair enough. But my point is, with dozens and dozens of festivals happening every year, almost all of them go off without a hitch. So I feel like the reason people like hate on these a lot of times is, I don't know, it's like someone in the chat here said, is because of FOMO, because, people can't go and like, oh, well, if I can't go, then I don't want anyone to go. With that being said, I actually do kind of have, I don't know, I don't think this is a scam. I don't think it's gonna not happen or anything like that. But if the idea is that all these bands are gonna play a full album, and this is what, we'll call it 50 bands playing a full album. Let's say the average album is half an hour. Let's say 45 minutes. 50 bands playing for 45 minutes. That's 35 hours of music. 35, and it's one day. There's either going to be an insane amount of stages and like 5 bands playing at the same time, which kind of sucks because that means that you can't actually watch every band, or these bands are not actually going to play the full album, which also sucks because that's like the entire point of this festival. So I would assume that there's just going to be a whole bunch of stages, which is a bummer because they're going to have like the big bands are going to play whatever at the main stage, and then all the other ones are going to play around them, and you're going to have to pick and choose, which sucks because, this is not cheap. General admission is starting at $325 with no hidden fees. Okay, at least there's no hidden fees. $325 for GA. Okay, I'm not even saying that that's too expensive for this, because with this many bands playing, they're going to be paying millions and millions and millions of dollars to all these bands. So I understand that they have to charge a lot of money. But if you're going to pay $300 for a ticket, plus travel, plus food and stuff like that, if you go there for the weekend, you're going to spend $1,000 per person minimum, probably more. And if I'm going to spend $1,000 to go to a festival, I don't want to have to like pick and choose what bands I'm going to see. It's fine if it's Warped Tour. Warped Tour, you always had to have your map out and be like, okay, we're going to watch Escape the Fate, and then we're going to run over here and watch Chelsea Grin, then we'll run over there and we'll see The Story So Far. You couldn't see every band at Warped Tour, but it's okay because it was $30 and you're like, whatever. You don't necessarily care that much. But if I'm paying $1,000 all in, I am going to be kind of upset if I don't get to watch every band, right? I mean, like, you didn't pay $1,000 to go to a festival and miss half the bands. It just really feels like this needs to be 2 or even 3 days. It's just kind of, I don't know, just the money guys probably figured this is the most profitable. I'm sure that's true. And I get it. This is good business, but I don't know. That part doesn't sit right to me. GA Plus is $550, so an extra $200. And for that, you get, this is the same thing as Sick New World. So for an extra $200, you get an air-conditioned restroom. So you can go number 2 in AC, and you get a dedicated entry lane at the main entrance. So literally $200 to go number 2 in with AC. Literally $200 for that. And then there's VIP. You get all of that. So you get air-conditioned, you get preferred viewing area by the main stage, and you can charge your phone for $650. And to me, I don't want to have like a VIP only area. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be like cordoned off. I've seen pictures of this. And so there's like the GA area here, and then there's like, a barrier, and then there's the VIP area over here. To me, that's not enjoyable to be, off in my own little area with the other people who paid a ton of money. I want to be in the crowd with everyone. Like, that's half the fun to me. So I personally wouldn't pay for this, but, obviously there's some people who do. Oh, and then there's the VIP Cabana, which they don't even have a price for. If there's no price listed, that means you can't afford it. Listen, if people will pay it, good for them. Anyway, so somebody did share the stage setup for this year. And apparently there's the green stage and the pink stage, the ghost stage and the stripe stage. So there were 4 stages here this year. So I would assume that that's going to be the same thing next year. But even 4 stages seems like it's not even enough to me. I don't know. I just really think this needs to be multiple days. I understand that makes it less profitable. I get all of that. But for me personally, if you're going to be paying a small fortune to go watch these bands, I don't want to have to pick and choose. The other thing that a lot of people are bringing up, which let's talk about this. The lack of female artists on this bill, which is true. I mean, if you look at this, there's probably, I don't know, I think someone did the math. There's something like 240 members of all these bands, and there's like 5 women in all these bands. I think that is probably true. I didn't do the math, but let's assume that's true. No, you don't get it. We can't have women artists on When We Were Young 2024. It's only nostalgic emo bands. Oh, also LS Dunes is there. Someone else made the same point here and said basically that there are a lot of options. Okay, so this person said there's 233 men and 4 women, not including Chiodos and Pretty Girls Make Graves. James says, some of you acting like there's only ever been 3 women who were in bands that made great albums during this era, and they couldn't possibly book more, so just a few off the top of my head. And so they've listed a few here like Cursive, Rilo Kiley, Stray Light Run, Isley, and the Hush Sound, Hey Monday, Versa Emerge, and The Pretty Reckless. Now, this is kind of an interesting one to me. I agree with this. Yeah, the genre was extra male dominated. It wasn't like 90s alt rock or something. I think this is an interesting conversation because number one is if the idea of this festival is to, you know, capture this era, right or wrong, the fact of the matter is that there were hardly any women in any of the bands that were popular during this era. And I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing. It is what it is. So there is that. Second thing is like, yeah, they could book some of these bands, but is anyone going to go see Rilo Kiley or Isley? I mean, no disrespect to them, but you know, you look at the other people on the lineup and we've got, you know, it's like The Devil Wears Prada, Mayday Parade, Newfound Glory, The Used. You know, with all due respect to them, those are just not gonna draw the same as some of these artists are. It's a good point. It was a bunch of cute dudes wearing tight pants that were trying to draw girls to the show. That is true too. The other thing is you can't just pick and choose who to book a festival. You don't just get to say, hey Monday, clear out your schedule. You're playing Vegas in October of 2024. You know, like, Hey Monday is not currently a band as far as I know. And you can't just like snap your fingers and make them reunite. You know what I mean? I think it's fair to point out that this era was kind of a sausage fest. It's true. There were like very few women in any of these bands, but I don't know what I don't really think that that's fair to expect this festival to address that. You know what I mean? They can't go back and change the past. All they can do is sort of recreate the scene as it was. This other person said, rephrasing my previous comment, the lack of artists of color is especially disgraceful. You know, same thing here. The fact of the matter is the vast majority of people in these bands of this era were like white dudes. I get it, but like, yeah, that's just how it was in the 2000s. You know, that's just how it is. If you think that that's problematic, as they say, that's totally fair. I get that, but that's just the way it was. So this sort of the entire concept of this festival is to recreate a snapshot of, you know, the mid to late 2000s, and for better or worse, that's just how it was back then. So I don't really think that's a valid criticism personally. As far as I know, the only band that is not playing a full album is Fall Out Boy. You can see here on the flyer, everyone else has an album listed next to their name, and for almost all of them, you know, it's their hit album. It's the big breakthrough, you know, album or whatever. The only one, as far as I'm aware, that's not is Fall Out Boy, who is apparently not playing Take This to Your Grave. So that's kind of interesting. I'm curious why they don't want to play this album. You know, I'm curious why. And it's interesting also that they can sort of put their foot down and be like, yeah, we're not doing the album thing. Everyone else is. Well, not us. Suck it. I'm curious why they don't want to play that. Just, I don't know. Curious. I don't know. Or Cork True, whichever. But like, curious that Fall Out Boy is the only one that's not doing a full album thing. I thought this was kind of funny. Breaking news, everybody. Breaking news. Fall Out Boy leaked set list for When We Were Young Fest 2024, which is We Didn't Start the Fire, followed by We Didn't Start the Fire, followed by We Didn't Start the Fire, then Sugar We're Going Down, and for the encore, you guessed it, people, We Didn't Start the Fire by Billy Joel. I hope they do that. That would be amazing and great. Also thought this was pretty good. Just packed my outfit from When We Were Young. Y'all need anything? Man, remember the purple American Apparel hoodie? What an icon. I mean, just the only thing that could possibly be more like 2008 than this would be the shutter shades. Yeah, with the white strings. That's right. Very interesting. Just, it's one of these things that, I don't know, kind of like spandex pants, just like instantly represent like the 80s hair metal era. You see this and it takes you right back. One thing people mentioned is like just how this is all a bunch of like old nostalgia artists, which obviously that's the point of this lineup. The interesting thing is that this year you can see it was mostly legacy artists, but there were a few newer artists in here, like No Pressure, Kenny Hoopla, Magnolia Park. There's not a lot, but a few younger artists in there. 2022 had more, such as Lil Huddy, Linda Linda's, Maybe at the Altar, Royal and the Serpent, some newer artists there. But this year they've just gone like full nostalgia. And, obviously I'm someone who likes to see like newer artists, but I gotta say, from, the perspective of people running a business, why bother? There's not a single person that went to that festival to see, I don't know, I don't want to pick on anyone, but I'm going to do it anyway. There was not a single person that went to When We Were Young this year to see Kenny Hoopla. Nothing against him, but there's not a single person that went to that festival to see him. So why even bother? Why not just go full nostalgia? How long do you think they can realistically keep up this millennial nostalgia cash in with all these concerts? I would imagine it will stop at some point. Yeah, I mean, look, these people are in like their prime spending years right now. They're late 20s to like late 30s. I would say, like probably another 10 years, I think they can keep flogging this. I don't think they'll have any problem with that. And if you want to know the reason why there is absolutely no point in booking new artists, let's look at this. This is a show the other day with 100 Gex opening for Deftones. And you can see here, watching the old heads get mad at 100 Gex waiting for Deftones. This is why it's pointless to book any new artists. Look at these guys. All the 40-year-olds. All the 40-year-olds looking extremely bummed about 100 Gex. So, yeah, I mean, I get it. I get it. There's even like kind of a part of me that says, you know what? Look, I respect it. You just went full millennial cash grab, and why not? The elder emos, like I said, all you got to do is say, hey, guys, remember high school? It's back. And the millennials will beat down a path to your door screaming, please take my money. All you got to do, turn on the pre-orders, collect the cash, and I have no doubt in my mind that this will sell out in moments. So those are my thoughts on When We Were Young 2024. Let's see what happens. Let's see.